Recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the April 11th edition of SIG API Machinery. We have a short agenda today, so let's try and give everybody some time back. I'm gonna share my screen, make sure I find the right window. Okay. So first on the list, I'll give a brief update on the Apply working group. It's in progress. We've made a feature branch. We have a couple PRs out. I think I'll just note one thing, which is we've decided not to make a feature branch in the Cube OpenAPI repo. So if anyone thinks that that is going to be problematic, say something in the Slack channel, maybe. Yeah, I think that's good for the, close the door behind you. I think that's good for the Apply working group. Okay, STTTS, yes. Do you want to say something about the feature freeze?
There's not much more to say. Feature freeze April 24th, and we committed to finish feature proposals until that date. So just a quick reminder.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm aware of Mehdi's versioning stuff that was actually reviewed last release. We should probably take another pass through that. I know that your poll related to it is in progress, and I just had like 2 questions on it. And then the Apply working group, we agreed that doing that design and iterating on it instead of a feature branch was appropriate. So I think we're good as far as I know.
Sounds good. Right, there's, I think, 13 people on, or 13 connections. Does anybody have additional topics? Anything? Wow. We're almost done.
I think we're doing it right, yeah.
The perfect meeting.
Yeah, seriously. This is just the call for topics. We had a Apply working group update and a reminder that feature freeze is April 24th. And we're about to adjourn.
Oh. Do you want to give a reminder on design docs early in the process? That was a topic of conversation in the last round.
Yeah, that's a great point. I recall David and I said something a few meetings ago about how it's much easier for everybody involved if we get design docs earlier rather than later. And if complicated things show up late in the cycle, it is difficult for us to promise that we can really give you enough bandwidth to get the feature implemented.
So encouraged by feature freeze, right?
Yeah, I would really strongly encourage design docs and some agreement by feature freeze, if at all possible. And we're willing to make exceptions in rare cases, but please help us keep the cases rare. Yeah.
Also, for CRD versioning, STTTS CTS PR is, I think he made it green, all tests are passing and everything, but we are investing on that to make the CRD versioning work, so it would be nice if we can get that merged, reviewed and merged.
What are we
So it's
locked on?
It's green, and David looked through it, has the LGTM. I want to see whether I can get rid of 1 or 2 commits in it, some workarounds we have in it. But I think it's not critical. I mean, even in the state it is now, it's okay, I think.
Okay, so not blocked, just being careful.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Hooray!
Question, Matt Farina, what is going on with the platform tools working group for SIG? Yeah, there was an email thread about having a platform tools SIG. I was following along at home on that, and I haven't seen any.
I think Anthony is going to send a revised proposal today.
Anthony's going to send a revised proposal. Okay. So look for a revised proposal soon. I think on that note, I'm generally supportive of this, I think, but there are some pieces of API machinery that I consider kind of core, like the part of our tool chain that corresponds with like defaulters and conversion functions. I think that is a core API machinery thing, and if people feel that we're not adding the features that are needed there, we should do some soul searching rather than start a new SIG.
Yeah, and so part of this, though, and part of the reason I asked this, and my own curiosity, is I see it looks like on March 28th when there was a meeting, it looks like it wasn't that long. And this week, there's not much time, and it meets every other week. And this is all talking about building kind of tools around API machinery stuff. So if there's time here, is there need for another SIG?
So we have time in this meeting because we have been lining up the features that we're working on now. The work on that started 3 months ago, right? And so now we are in an execution mode, and I think that, as far as I know, all the key players here are busy, right?
It's the first time that this meeting looks for topics after 6 minutes. It's always full usually.
Yeah, to that I would just add that I think this meeting is a lot like your system administrator. You should be very happy when your system administrator looks like they're bored and not doing anything. If they're furiously typing, then you should probably be worried. I think if we have got our designs good, then we don't need to have much discussion here, and that's a good thing. And shouldn't be taken as an indication that we have more bandwidth.
So here's a question, though. I mean, as far as an organizational unit goes, we're talking about the people here. Is that a separate group of people, entirely separate from the people who are here who want to go do the work over there?
You're talking about the potential people who want to work on the platform tools SIG?
Yeah. Because if the same amount of work is going to get done either way,
I don't know that it's actually the same people. It seems like it's very closely related. You see a lot of topics that look like they're very closely related today. I think that our API machinery group is heavily focused around trying to get the server infrastructure working, and until very recently, we also had all the controller machinery working. It now is actually possible, if someone wanted to go to the effort, they could have a separate thing to go out and say, okay, we are trying to branch out beyond working against our core API and building controllers against the core API, and instead we're trying to look at how you can build components against extensions of Q. And it's a slightly different mission. I think it has different forces on it. And I don't know that I would expect it to be the same people that we have here. I think a lot of us will have opinions, but I think that the doers are likely to be different people.
There's some overlap, maybe ClientGo and code generators. But those people can also collaborate and help now with those tools. And I think I agree with Daniel. I think those tools will stay in API machinery for the moment.
And maybe I can offer just a little context from our side. There likely is one, or maybe there are two people who will shift where they spend the majority of their focus in our group. So the distinction I would make is ClientGo itself would still be API machinery, but there's an exploration based on some feedback that we got from you, Matt, that a generated Go client may also be useful to a large number of systems. And that effort I could see being more invested in by the tools group.
Okay.
And so the distinction I would make is that the core primitives are supplied by API machinery, and the use of and tools around using those primitives is in this other focus area.
Okay, so I see where the split is. Because they're so tightly coupled, should they be separate sub-projects of the same SIG? Like, why the separation in organizational unit that owns the code for those if they're so tightly coupled?
Let me just add one clarifying remark, which is this working group has not been discussed in this, or this potential new SIG has not been discussed in this meeting before, and I don't think any of us were on the like email thread that went out about this. So this is asking us for the whys around. Apart from Jago, I don't think many of us know why this email thread was started. So
I was on vacation when it was started, but I was part of many of the conversations.
I mean, I've had some hallway conversations about this with Eric, but I am probably not a good person to justify this.
So I would suggest, I think Anthony, who is part of the original thread, is going to send out a revised proposal later today, and the conversation can happen more openly in the community and the dev channel through which that may be more appropriate. I think from the perspective of this SIG, maybe a sub-project is more appropriate. I think it's more semantics, honestly, than the people involved. But maybe it's about the number of meetings that the same people have to go to, and that would be a reasonable pushback, I think. On the tightly coupling, I think at different times, API Machinery has felt tightly coupled to everything. So that argument probably doesn't hold a lot of weight for this group, Matt. But I may be putting words in people's mouths.
No, you are absolutely right. We have been tightly coupled in every piece of this project, and a significant amount of our effort has been to try to reduce that coupling.
Yeah, I think we want less of that in the future. So the discussion should be around what should be tightly coupled, not what is tightly coupled.
That makes sense. Okay, and for what it's worth, I didn't even necessarily catch this at first. It was somebody else who said, hey, it would be nice if we didn't have so many SIGs, because we're past like the 30 mark now, and they brought up the SIG API Machinery correlation, and I just thought, I'll ask over there, and I had no idea y'all hadn't discussed it yet.
Yeah, if you look at the sigs.yaml or whatever it is in the community repo, you'll find that API Machinery already has like 10 times more sub-projects than anybody else. I think if we're gonna start like either we end up with 100 SIGs with 2 or 3 SIG sub-projects each, or we end up with like 25 SIGs
apps
with
and API Machinery and
Node. 10 sub-projects each, and so like we're scaling somehow, whether it's in number of SIGs or number of sub-projects. Either way, we have to scale. If we start adding too many more sub-projects to API Machinery, we might have to start being more formal about how we run sub-projects, which maybe is not a bad thing. But
I don't want more paperwork in my life.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to be more formal in a way that doesn't involve David and I in the critical path for every single sub-project.
Yeah, and some of the sub-project stuff is actually now part of the governance stuff all the SIGs have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely useful to be able to say, like, this is what we own, this is who owns it, this is who you can contact, this is how you can get help. Like, it's definitely helpful. But I do see the platform tools as distinct from what we do here. I think it has a different focus, and I think they're going to have the freedom to come up with novel and new things that actually help an ecosystem, as opposed to us who are focused on the core central pieces and then the base tools.
Okay. Yeah, and I wasn't actually talking about just the governance stuff up there. All the SIGs have to have charters now, and part of the charter templates deals with all of the sub-project handling.
Yeah, I know Brian asked me to like update the list of sub-projects, so I like put some random organization in there, which is somewhat random, but was better than what was there before.
Yeah.
So please take a look, and if there is more stuff that needs to be done to make us compliant with whatever whatever the new rules are of the day, feel free to volunteer for that.
SIG has done a very nice example for us. At some point, we should probably follow their template.
Yeah, on SIG apps, we're in the process right now of doing this. In fact, I'm delinquent by about a day of doing the PR for our charter. We've tweaked it a little, but I just dropped in a link to the stuff everyone's supposed to get on board with governance and charters and those fun things. They do give you a template, though.
Cool. Okay. Have we discussed this to death, or should we?
I'm good. I got more than have my question answered. Thank you.
Thanks for bringing it up. It's probably relevant, and we should be aware of what's going on at least. Yeah. Okay. Any other topics? All right. Let's call it a day. Thanks for joining, everybody. Try to keep it short and sweet in the future, too. All right. Bye.